Good evening. Um, I think the only thing I changed compared to last year was the jacket. I think the shirt may be the same. You'll see a major upgrade, though, in the panelists this evening, because all the consul generals and Ambassador Mahana are all wearing ties, whereas you can tell the group last year was much more casual. So first, thank all of you very much for being here. It's a real treat to 1 year later reconvene in this gorgeous facility on another very, very beautiful day in Seattle. It means a great deal to us, for all of us who put this together, and I'll have some comments to thank folks shortly. But we've gotten a lot done in the first year. So during the course of the last year, the team between the Bay Area and Seattle has done 60 programs. Some were shared between the two, some were really centered in the Bay Area and broadcast or shared up here, some were centered here and broadcast down in the Bay Area. So that was a significant upgrade of what the amount of programming that we'd been doing before. And our promise was to bring as much of the Asia Society global programming to Seattle as we can. And so we've been working very, very hard to do that. I think that when we're looking at the staffing, one of the other big changes that's happened is we're bringing on a very senior technology executive, Mark Cohen, who is one of the world's leading experts on intellectual property. So Mark will be based in the Bay Area, but his first actual formal meeting will be up here at the beginning of October. And we'll do private briefings for companies that have an interest in that, especially Microsoft and Gates Ventures, who've been huge sponsors of this initiative. But we'll also be holding public forums so that the people that hold those events in private can have a public voice as well. That was something we had promised the community that we would do, and bring these people to Seattle. So the ASPE integration, the integration with SAM, it's underway. Speaker series, being able to use the venues, the conversations, not just between my wife and I, because she's on the board of SAM and I'm on the board of the Asia Society. So we actually have many, many more conversations beyond just the two of us in terms of how the two organizations should be working together. And that's been very rewarding to see. We have a new Seattle office, which is down in the Madrona Ventures building, if you know where that is. Somewhat appropriate, given the incredible wave of change that technology is bringing to Asia and to Asia-American relationships. We have a venture firm in China, and what's happening there and the rate of change in China, the impact it's having on society, mirrors what's happening here with AI. And because of Microsoft and Amazon and a numerous ServiceNow and numerous other companies that have major presence in Seattle, Seattle's really at the forefront of that, and we're expecting that to continue in the near future. Much of that work, again, thanking Microsoft and Gates for launching this, has been through the work of Tom Robertson, who's the representative for both organizations, and he's been absolutely fantastic. So you will hear from Tom later, but if you have a chance to take him aside and thank him for his work, that would also be much appreciated. Navigating shared futures requires quite a bit of thought, because we're trying to integrate the arts and culture, and Sam has stepped up in a major way, so I want to make sure we thank the Seattle Art Museum and the Seattle Asian Art Museum folks for their work. Deborah Eisenman in New York, Asia Society. We have a new president, Dr. Kang, in New York this year for the Asia Society. And the support that we've had in setting up the 501c3 on the West Coast, and the support we've had in integrating the programs has been fantastic. So I want to make sure we thank Asia Society headquarters for the support that they've provided us thus far. Janet Yang is here tonight, so the head of the Motion Picture Association. She was here last year and agreed to come back up again this year. This year was the first Oscars that occurred under her watch, and which was obviously fantastically successful. So we're really honored and pleased to have Janet here this evening. The CGs and moderators. It's been the consul generals of Japan, Korea, the former U.S. ambassador to Vietnam, Prakash, the consul general from India, are all here. India now has a CG office, a consulate here in Seattle or in Bellevue, supporting the really large number of Indian expats and Indian workers that are here. And so that should be a really interesting panel. It's very important that we start to realize that in every single vector of the Asia Society, again, whether it's arts and culture, whether it's technology, whether it's policy, that the changes that we're dealing with are unprecedented. And so people, you may have been studying something for 30 or 40 years and you're suddenly thrust into the position of having to learn things all over again. And so what we're trying to do in Seattle is really take advantage of that mix of technology, business, arts, and culture that we have here, and the amount of trade and just back and forth that occurs between the region and Seattle. Then the event sponsors, so Amazon, Gates Ventures, Southwest Airlines, much appreciated. We will be looking for more sponsors in the future. These organizations are complex and not inexpensive to run with all the events, but the folks that have stepped up in our first year, believed in us to come and support this event tonight are really, really appreciated. And then finally, the Asia Society team on the West Coast. So Margaret Conley, Nina, Jason, Evan, who's down in the Bay Area answering an untold number of phone calls because no one else is there now, and Christy, have really done a great job. None of this would happen without them. And so when you see them, and assuming that they're smiling when everything is done, either give them a hug, buy them a drink, or just say thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to introduce very briefly Secretary of State Steve Hobbs. So state of Washington representative, he is up for election. So he's told me to tell you that he's free to answer any questions that you might have. If you believe that, then when he comes out with a baseball bat and hits me upside the head, you'll realize that that was absolutely not the case. But it's a real honor to have someone representing the state here, and indicative also of how serious this entire venture has been. So with further ado, I'll ask Steve to come out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. This is the first year anniversary for the Asia Society, and I am so honored to be here today. I am happy to be part of this celebration. And just so you know, the Secretary of State's office is responsible for charities and corporations and nonprofits. And so the Asia Society of Seattle is part of that. I checked their paperwork. It is good. Otherwise, this would be a very awkward conversation we'd be having right now. But I want to continue this strong relationship or foster this strong relationship between the U.S. and the Indo-Pacific. And I'm proud to be the first Secretary of State in Washington State of Asian descent. And I'm proud to fill that role. Thank you. Now, you're all wondering right now, Steve Hobbs, not a very Asian name. Not a very Asian name, I get that, but I assure you, my mom, Miwa Modita, she's very Asian, all right, very Asian. She came to this country in 1969, pregnant with me, and we learned English together by watching Sesame Street. And I just want to clear the air because there was some misinformation, some disinformation that was talked about for migrants coming to this country. I assure you that my pet cats feel very safe around my mom. The Office of Secretary of State has decades-long history of conducting international relations, from trade missions and representing the state of Washington to hosting dignitaries from around the world. Now, we've had a lull in that the last 10 years, but I have revived that long-standing office function by conducting an international trade mission to Japan in 2023. The trip was organized by the Economic Development Board of Pierce County and the Tacoma World Trade Center. In April of this year, my office joined the Economic Development Board in Japan for the Cultural and Trade Mission in May to make connections in the aerospace and tabletop gaming industries. Earlier this month, I moderated a panel discussion at PAX West in Seattle to speak with Washington digital gaming companies about resources and opportunities to build their businesses here in Asia and the tabletop game community as well. Here in Washington, we have a great diverse group of AAPI community members and businesses. This is an exciting time. And the Indo-Pacific is very critical to Washington State and the United States. It's an economic driver for the world, and it's a source of tension, unfortunately, and it is a national security concern. Hopefully, the Asia Society can build and strengthen relationships so we can have a more peaceful world. And with that, thank you so much for coming here today, and I am looking forward to working with you all.